Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Teach, Sleep, Repeat. My name is Dylan.
And my name is Hayden.
And we're back in the room.
In the room, sitting down this time.
In the studio.
Yeah.
We're sitting down this time because it's been a long old day.
First thing Dylan did, I was setting up. He came in, walked in, not hello, literally nothing. I'd made him a drink, left it there for him, just a bit nice.
That's good.
But, can we sit down this week?
Why you made me sound like a 60-year-old builder?
That's what you did. Can I sit down this week?
Up. I don't want to stand up. We had some feedback though from last week.
Did we?
Yeah, my favourite bit of feedback was firstly there was some nice stuff, like, it's more conversational.
Yeah.
You're having more of a chat, it's more natural. We're not like waiting for like the 2-second Zoom delay.
Yeah.
But my favourite one was how someone told me that you look so incredibly bored and disinterested when I'm talking because it's on the screen. There's no cutting it out anymore.
Oh, I can't get rid of it. I usually am.
I love the idea that you were doing it then. Like the whole time I was
I have no idea what you just said. No idea.
Just apparently you just you just think the camera's off.
Do you know what?
Still on.
It's not the first time I've had feedback that my general thinking and listening face is so restingly I don't even mean to be rude. Sometimes I am just zoned out.
Sometimes you do mean to be rude.
Sometimes I am zoned out and I am being rude, but you don't know it.
They do know it. That's the point.
Other times. Anyway, so we're sat down.
Yeah, and by the way, so much better. I feel like I'm just having a chat. The mood has changed. I do wonder if the other bit of feedback I got as well was
another burn on me. Let's see.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, it was on. It was on both of us, and we're probably already doing it now. Was when we do it normally in different rooms, it's a bit more proper, a bit more of a conversation. Yeah. Whereas they said it's good or bad, but this it's definitely way more like we're just being silly, like in school.
I'm not. I mean, that's probably a thing.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure how much of that is this situation of us being in here and how much of that is if you listen to every single episode. I would say we steadily have become more. You go back and listen to episode 1. Honestly, it's fine. We recorded episode 1.
Hello, Hayden. What do you think about education?
Well, Dylan, I'm actually thinking that it was in quite a state right now, isn't it?
And now we're like, God, teachers.
We love it, and it's exhausting, and we also hate it.
But yeah, that was the generic feedback. It just really made me laugh. It was quite positive, but it just really pinpointed your absolute. I just know that face, and what it made me think of was how we are effectively shadow banned, right, from being in the same year group in any school we work in. There's not like an official rule, but I think it's good for both of us. I think we both agree because do you remember those days when we were in the same year group?
Yeah, I remember because you just throw stuff at me. That's what I remember of being in the same year group.
That I don't know about anyone else, but when I look at this, I just think of Target.
Just paint one.
It wasn't hard stuff. It was like a soft dodgeball.
One of the kids got me to turn round yesterday, and honestly, I'm not joking. Just said, "See, he's got hair at the back."
It was just.
That's what they did. And obviously, like a mug, I just went, what? And turned around. And because they were a nice class. I'm not going to lie. We was having
really nice.
Bit of banter. And I was just like, oh.
But to me, what I love about that is it kind of insinuates that, they were just having a conversation. Should have been doing their work. They were just talking about your hair. And like, Iris, just turn around for a minute. Like, you're the teacher. Just turn around a minute. Yeah, see? And they just carry on. Like, no regard for you whatsoever.
One of them's won a little bit of money. They had a bet on it. So here you go. Oh, damn it. That's my lunch.
Does have hair in the back. Someone got their gammon. Someone else didn't. Anyway, that was the feedback from last time. I thought it was quite cool. Nice. I actually, in the end, I went up and down like a roller coaster on my enjoyment of being face to face. I think I prefer it. It feels more like we're just having a chat. And it feels like those year 4 days where we come round and we're in the same school. Yeah. And in the same year group, and we would just spend 2 hours talking and then be moaning about being stressed. Whereas now we spend 0 hours talking and still moan about being stressed. So that's how far teaching's come.
Yeah, teaching's got way better.
Anyway, age-old question. Lots to catch up on this week because I already know what you're going to say. I already know what you're going to talk about because it's been my own week. How was your week?
True. Fantastic. Just like your week, it's been stress-free. Your face
we'll get to my week.
It's been good. I think we're going to talk obviously about behaviour and stuff later, but just a little thing is my class are just lovely, and you taught this cohort before, as we said last week. So I'm just
wonder
generally...
why they're lovely.
Yeah, they learned it somewhere. Don't know where or when.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, did they learn it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, the main point is the school banter. So you were just talking about, our banter. We're shadow banned from being in the same year group. Definitely true. Can see why. Because even when we're not, causing complete chaos. These last 2 weeks.
I feel like I should start with my story of the lunch hall and we go from there.
Okay, makes the most sense.
Because we'll bring in the customers like I was brought into
customers.
This. Yeah, we're back to calling you
back to that, yeah.
Someone messaged us the other day and referenced themselves as a customer.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So I'm going to bring the viewers on a journey with me. Because I was
the listeners, Dylan, as well.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Oh, my God. You're right. Been a stressful week, all right. Anyway, I walk into the lunch hall to have lunch with the children. And it's kind of moved around like timings and stuff.
Why do you do that, by the way? I never actually asked.
What?
Like, we all have lunch in the staff room. Why do you eat in the hall?
Well, I get a school dinner.
Oh, just a free one.
It's free. If you eat with the kids. It's not why I get it. I can afford a lunch. But remember I said in the podcast.
He's sweating, can he? I'm not sure. I can afford a lunch. Leave me alone.
We said the other week about how you should have your lunches prepared so you're not stressed at lunchtime.
Yeah.
Didn't do it.
Yeah, I didn't do it.
So one way to get around that is you get a free lunch, just jump the queue, go in, get a free lunch, 10 minutes, eat it, and then go.
I didn't do any of those tips that I gave.
I know you don't. I think a bit of a fraud, actually.
Yeah, if you want to see how much of fraudsters we are, then go back and listen to that episode where we give you advice that we don't follow.
Anyway, I was getting my prepared lunch / going into the canteen for a free dinner. And I just sat with the kids. One, because I think you get it for free if you eat with the kids. Yeah. But two, also, it's just nice.
Yeah.
It is just nice.
And they love you, this cohort, honestly.
Honestly.
I idolize him.
I don't mean to I'm not trying to sound... I'm going to sound like I'm being arrogant.
Yeah, which you are.
I am incredibly arrogant. But honestly, I walk into that hall with the 5s and 6s who I've taught in the last couple of years, and I can't go past the table without a kid wanting to talk to me. But I love it. I love it. It's nice. Anyway, so I sat down chatting to him, and I sat down, and this is what happened though. They're coming up to me, and I'm like, no, what are they like? Okay. No, they're coming up to me to say, Mr. Stevens. Mr. Stevens. And I'm like, what has he done? And they're like, and then this one guy had told the deputy head, had literally said to him, I just want to let you know that Mr. Stevens just finds any opportunity to mention Mr. Price in the lessons, and I just want to let you know. Just want to tell you. So the kids come up to me, you want to talk to Mr. Stevens? He's been talking about you. He's been talking about you. Turns out I'm the hook for any kind of creative writing that happens in that unit.
You're pretty much.
So I obviously go and find Hayden, and Hayden, please allude to the listeners as to what's been happening in this last couple of weeks.
Not much. Just like basically any English lesson, particularly. And maths, actually. Any lesson. Where there's anything I can model, or I'm just noticing that, they're starting to be a bit like, maybe we're 20 minutes into a prepositions lesson. It's boring. Right. And I'm just like, I just want to spice it up for 5 seconds to try and get their attention. Of course, it's at the detriment of this guy. And today, for example, we were writing sentences with colons to introduce a list. And of course, I gave them a prompt, which was something like, I just saw Mr. Price and was terrified, or something like that. Something about him, and they had to come up with the reasons why.
I bet they love
this
that
list.
I bet they,
of course, that's the thing. It's like, jokes aside, it is like great and engaging for them. Like they do write some good stuff, and then I'm like, no, you can't. They want to be funny. They want to be funny. I'm like, you can't read it out if it's not right. Like, it's got to be punctuated correctly. It's got to be spelled correctly. You've used the wrong conjunction. That doesn't make sense. No, they're desperate. I'll make it make sense then, because I want to read this out and make everyone laugh about how Mr. Price is Shrek.
I was an ogre. That was a theme.
Yeah.
We called you an ogre.
Well, today you were wearing your mum's bikini.
Yeah, apparently.
Okay, and which the kids obviously found hilarious.
Brilliant. Yeah. Okay, but did they do some good writing?
They did some good writing.
That's
really
fine.
Good. I was really impressed.
And I heard about this. Story, and I thought, haha. All right. Okay, no problem. Knowing that these kids can very quickly turn. I've got I've got a lot of credit with these kids. So so I'm going to post it on Instagram. I went away and basically I sat at lunchtime and plotted with these children because they were telling me, and I was like, right, how can we get him back? Like, could do this, could do that. I was like, okay, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a few of you a bookmark, right? Like where
did you tell them you were going to make that?
Yeah, so I'm going to make a bookmark, okay? And I'm going to put Mr. Stevens' face on it. It's going to be a funny face, little note. And they're like, yeah, you should do that. So today I made 4 bookmarks, post them on Instagram, at Teach Sleep Repeat Pod.
Brilliant.
Cast. At Teach Sleep Repeat Podcast. On Instagram, if you want to go and see what the bookmarks look like, but it's just like a cut for you, like making a silly face.
Yeah,
and
it's from a YouTube video, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's from a YouTube video. At the bottom, it just said, when you read your cliffhanger in your favourite book, and you're like, ooh. And I made sure to put your face at the top so it could just hang up the top of the book.
Yeah.
So I had to give them to these 4 children. They went back apparently to year 6, and I said, hide them, just put them in your book, and they'll see them at some point. And apparently they all did it.
Yeah, they did. So they were in my class at that time. So we do a carousel afternoon every now and then. So I had the whole year group this afternoon. And I happened to have those 4 children at that time.
Yeah.
That's first session. And yeah, they came back in. And I do love moments like this. Like, these are really special to me. Seeing kids come back in, pure joy.
Exactly.
Like they'll remember that for weeks. They'll laugh about it for weeks.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. Like, this one girl came in and she was like bright red and trying so hard not to laugh and like wet herself laughing. And I was also aware that I was in a lesson as well. So I was like, I knew that he'd done something funny. So I thought, right, I'm going to let them do their thing, but not right now because I am teaching. So I was like, come sit down. And I knew that fit with their theme because they're all hiding something anyway. So I just pretended to be like, come on, sit back down, get on with it, let's go. And then, yeah, maybe like 10, 15 minutes later, I'd actually kind of forgotten. I'm not going to lie. Like, I just got into the lesson. And I started walking around the tables, and this one boy who's really funny. Like, I really like this kid. He's so funny. Just had this bookmark, just perfectly poking out, which he just put there because he knew I was coming around, and he was like pretending to do like yeah, just sort of moved his book like this as I was walking past, like just moved his book with his hand, and I saw the thing poking out, and I was like, "What is this?" And they were like, "Rah!" Like, just went mental, you know. Oh, it was funny.
But right. This is what they don't like. You don't teach it in university and stuff, right? It is those moments. Like right now, I'm not gonna lie. I've been incredibly stressed, and we'll talk. Like, I have just been so stressed this week.
Yeah.
But that like little snippet there is genuinely making my heart full of like laughter and joy. Yeah, like it is genuinely so funny. And the thought of those kids, like what is actually like, maybe this is controversial, right? But I think those kids today got more out of that than anything else they did all day.
For them personally,
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. Like, okay,
yeah,
sure, they learned how to order numbers up to 6 digits.
Yeah, but they don't care. That.
Sure, they learned, you know, the wives of Henry VIII or whatever it is they were doing that day.
Yeah.
But realistically, that moment of like those connections in your head of like laughter and joy and enjoying themselves, but long term will still have an effect on their you know bond and. I know it's a joke for you, but it's still, they only find it funny because they respect you.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They like you.
It was at the cost of maybe 60 seconds of a lesson. Genuinely, that's realistically like all it actually took up. Because after about 60 seconds, we'd had our laugh, and then we did just get back to what we were doing, right? And I would say that 60 seconds was worth it. Absolutely worth it. It's like 60 seconds more of learning, maybe, but I think that had a bigger impact overall. Because I think teaching, and I always have thought this, is just a big psychological game.
Yeah.
And I know I've said this before, I'm just repeating myself, but I think our job is to get children to enjoy learning. And if we have to forge situations where they attribute their time in a classroom learning with, I liked that it was fun.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I think making those links long term is going to serve those people better. It's like, okay, do you remember learning as a fun experience, or are you like half of the UK culture that absolutely just detests school and then tells their children how much they hate school, and then
true.
That's a cultural thing, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's important that we just don't take ourselves too seriously sometimes, and actually just do something fun for the very sake of it being fun for the kids, so they have a funny memory to go home with.
Yeah,
and that's fine.
You're convincing me more and more, because look, don't get me wrong. This is, I always feel like I'm a hypocrite when I say this, because we always talk about how having fun with the children is like the number one stepping stone for me for so much stuff. Whether that's behavior, whether that's respect, whether that's life lessons on how to get on with someone and where the line is and how to joke with them, and being a person who's likable as they grow up.
Yeah.
And also the fact that it leads them to be learning more because they want to be in the classroom with you and they hang off you and stuff like that, right? Like that is absolutely my mantra. Yeah. But I still somehow I'm kind of trapped in that idea of, but you know, the idea of learning this thing is sacrosanct, and we have to always have the end goal of learning this thing. It's obviously just not true. I think it's because it's our job to teach them stuff. But some kids don't get that wholesome experience outside of school.
Yeah, it's true.
And you're giving it to them. And it's not saying that they all don't, because obviously they have fantastic lives. But no matter what your situation, there's going to be children in your cohort who don't experience that. And that is everything to them. And like, we can give them that. So it's a powerful thing. Yeah. And it's good.
I think you went through a bit of a phase, and I don't mean to trivialize you as if I know you better than you, but just as someone who knows you very well, and we talk a lot about like our views on everything with school. I do feel like you went through a phase. I don't know if you're at the other end of this phase or if that's just the way you think now. But where like last year, like you were really, really, really like vocal about that opinion you were just saying before of like, yeah, but every minute is learning time, and actually that is the only unimportant goal. Like, and I actually remember being a bit like, oh my god, like literally honestly, genuinely, eye rolling at you a little bit in my head, thinking, I don't think I agree with you really.
Yeah, I think it's I think that's a side effect. I think that's like a symptom. I think it's a symptom of the wider structure of teaching, where you've got to put it in context here of every hour of training we get or have got, whether that's personally or in general. Every single thing we have been told from the top down is from that perspective. It's never, are we ever given training, truthfully, on the feelings of the children?
Not that I remember.
Rarely. We had a bit of a mental health chat once, but are we ever really, like, every single thing we're told to do and that instructs our job is from the idea of they have to be able to learn this skill and show they've learned this skill and retrieve this fact and do this and do that and do this and do that.
That is the importance.
And if you also marry that with the attitude of, okay, well, this is a job, we have been striking. And I think it came in tandem with the strikes, right? Because my idea with them was, okay, I'm putting less time into this job then because otherwise it's just completely unsustainable. So my goal had to be really, simplified, and it was they need to learn as much as possible. And I think that's how I coped with trying to manage the fact that we're striking, not going over and above and doing 10 hours extra every single week to get everything done. So I was like, cool, how can I distill this then? Okay, it's my job to come in and make sure they learn this and learn that. And whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to try and build those relationships. But the end goal was always to make them learn things. I still think the end goal is to make them learn things. I just think that maybe I need to vocalize more. Actually, what I mean is those relationships are just so important. And I think maybe at the start of the school year is when that's more obvious. Because I spend so much time at the start of the year forging those relationships and trying to make them laugh and enjoy being at school, and just showing them that I care about them is more important right now than whether or not they know how to add 10. And it sounds absolutely ridiculous to some people maybe, but others will hear that and go, obviously. And I think if you're a teacher, you can get trapped in that idea of objectives. Right now, you asked me, what if I had one thing from each kid that I want them to have learned in these first 3 weeks or feel in these first 3 weeks is that they're safe in school and they enjoy being with me.
I fully agree. I don't disagree with you whatsoever. That's number one to me. Always will be, always has been, regardless of anything that else anyone else says. I'm just sort of like, yeah, okay, that's your opinion, because I know what has worked for me, and it is the children that I've had that relationship with have always done the best. They just have. Absolutely.
And I think it pays dividends, doesn't it? Now when they're in year 6, but you can use that hook for me to get better.
I know. That's why I do it. I'm not doing it. I was saying to someone in the staff room, I was like, I wouldn't do it about another member of staff because it's a different relationship then. Like, they know securely that me and you have that banter. So they understand properly the relationship.
But the children, they're clever enough, because I think a lot of people might be listening to this worried, like, oh, does it set a precedent? No, it doesn't.
That's what I mean. That's
because these kids do not do this for anyone else, because what we've explicitly taught them along the way is that behaving like this is acceptable in certain circumstances. It's a very mature way of like thinking and acting.
I'm really hot on that as well. Like for example, literally today, I just made that point. Like, one kid just took it too far. Like, I make it very clear that there is a line. Like, we can have fun, and these are the boundaries in which we have fun.
And they're learning those lines, so it's a learning point.
Exactly, and that's fine. And then someone was just being a little bit too silly. I was like, oh, okay, actually, you need to stop, because I tell you what you're doing. You're starting to take the mick out of me and the fact that we've had a little bit of fun, and now you're just taking advantage of it. So we're just gonna stop. Because you've gone too far. All right, we learn those boundaries, and then we'll have fun. If not, we're gonna chill. And they were just like, oh. Because I built a little bit of respect from them, they were actually like, oh God, like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, of course, exactly.
And it was nice, but it wasn't like a harsh, they weren't crying or upset. They were just sort of like, okay, I get that now.
Yeah.
And then, tomorrow we can build on that. But I tell you what has come back. What has come back? Me and you, cousins. So again, if you've not listened to one of our older episodes, we've had a very, very long ongoing joke.
Oh, yes.
In which we're brothers. And we tell the children that we're brothers, and then most of them obviously don't believe it, and then we go, no, we're just cousins, really. But they always believe that
because
for some
it's one
reason.
Step down. That's why.
It's like, I'm only joking. That was the lie. Here's the truth. Really mean, just manipulating their
gaslighting.
Okay. But the kids today, they were like, "Are you cousins?" Because they'd obviously heard it from you years ago. They're like, "Aren't you aren't you cousins? I was like, yeah. I'm trying to do something. I took it really seriously. I was trying to do something. I was like, yeah. And I was looking at them thinking, they don't believe me, do they? They don't believe me. But, oh no, yeah, sure. And then I told one of them who didn't believe me, who knew you very well, was like, no, you're not. I was like, yeah, I know, but it's an ongoing joke. So what I need you to do next time you see Dylan is very convincingly say, see, I knew you weren't cousins, but I never knew you were Mr. Stevens' dad. The idea to her of doing that stopped her doing it because she couldn't stop laughing. But the idea of going up to you and trying to be serious, thinking that you're saying that you're my dad.
Oh man, I'm having for the first time because I went to year 3 for 1 year.
Yeah.
That was this cohort who are now in year 6.
Oh right, okay. Oh yeah, I keep thinking you had them in year 4.
I feel I did. I went up.
Oh yeah,
from 3 to 4.
Yeah.
So this is the first time where I feel like I know them so well. And I already feel sad that they're leaving, and I'm not even with them. I'm not even like it. People in year 6 must get this every year, but like just because I had them when they were so little and they came in post COVID, like just after the first COVID year, they started with us.
It's definitely a thing. Having kids 2 years, I don't know what it is, but there is something about that. Yeah, because I've only had that once, and those kids, I know it sounds biased, but they are like super special to me.
Yeah.
They're just. I think it's because I had them 2 years, so I miss them.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, so good. But yeah, anyway, that was how the bookmark. Okay, I will post the bookmark. I mean, it's just been a whole week, and I was like, I've got to do something back because these kids will absolutely love it. I had this one thing this week, so I've not talked about my week too much. Maybe we'll talk about it in a second, but it was just stressful. It's just been stressful. I think.
Has it been a stressful week? You haven't mentioned that yet.
Oh man, it's been stressful. I'm not gonna vent. I'm not gonna vent to you guys. You don't hear about it.
I'm really sorry to cut you off. Can I just say one last thing?
Oh yeah,
because
sure.
It is related to the last, and I
just
remembered. You can talk about your stress that no one wants to hear. So last thing, I was in Dylan's room the other day at break time, and we looked around, and a bunch of kids were just laughing at his window at us.
Yeah.
I think they were like, "Oh, it's them there together. They're not actually arch enemies or whatever." And they came in, and one girl just couldn't stop laughing. You were like, "What?" And she was like, "It's just your eyebrows. It's just your eyebrows." I got her to explain afterwards because she couldn't stop laughing to you. I said to her, "What
pointy?
What were you laughing at?" She was like, "Yeah, Mr. Eyebrows, Mr. Price's eyebrows are just so like pointy and bushy." She was like, "Yours are really flat like this," and she literally put her hands out like this. And she was like, "And Mr. Price's are like that.
There you go,
a bit pointier,
like a caterpillar."
They are, to be fair.
Yeah,
they are pointier. Mine are more like rainbows. Beautiful rainbows, and yours are like pointy, like jagged.
Anyway, we've gone on and on here.
Yeah,
we have gone on and on.
There you go. Now you know.
I had a terrible joke from a child.
Yeah.
Okay, and it just really made me laugh because the child was trying to be really funny. And do you know when the kid just tell you a joke? I was like, okay, I've got to say this on a podcast. What do you call a cheetah that's not yours?
I don't know.
Nacho cheese.
What? Nacho cheese?
She got nachos wrong. The cheese wrong. What do you call cheese that's not yours? Nacho cheese. What do you call a cheetah that's not yours?
Oh,
nacho cheese.
Nacho cheese. That is dreadful.
I was like, sure, was that good? I was like,
yeah.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. Sure. Run along.
No, don't run along. Do your spelling because you're in my class.
In the middle of a lesson. Come on, do your spelling. I'm trying to make bookmarks.
Yeah, she's just sat. Yeah, she's just sat there going, I can't carry on until I tell him. I can't. This is such a good joke. I cannot carry on until. What do you call a cheetah? That's not yours. Nacho cheese.
And she is so annoyed. Now she's gone home. All she's thinking about is the fact that she got that joke wrong. It's like calling your teacher mum.
She thought it was right. She was like, nacho cheese. Okay. Anyway.
Oh dear.
But I think what we've been talking about actually leads really nicely into what this.
Aren't you stressed?
I'm a bit stressed.
Sorry, it's just I know you don't want to talk about it, but
it's not that I don't want to talk about it. It's what I want to know if people are watching this guy. He looks grumpy.
Come on, mate. It's a therapy session. Come on, how are you feeling?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. A lot of people have this same thing. You just have a stressful week.
Do you want a massage?
There is not enough. Don't touch me. There is. Please never ever touch me. There is not enough time in the week to do stuff, and it just winds me up. It winds me up. Yeah. It's such a weird job. I just don't know how many jobs where someone can be like, do that, and you're like, I'm already doing my job.
Yeah.
My job time is filled. It's filled up. I'm not in this building for fun. I was in school for 10 hours today. Yep. I still didn't get some stuff done. And I just thought, tough.
Yeah.
It's tough. But it's I said this on the threads the other day. It's so easy for me to say that and for everyone to say that. But you still got to live the stress of knowing you haven't done something.
Yeah.
Like it's easy to be like, oh well, it's not done, and I did leave.
And also having people think things of you because you haven't. That's the thing.
I'm past that. I don't care about that anymore. Because I would just turn around and say, this is the amount of time I spent doing stuff today.
Yeah, of course.
No point in any of this time was I just sitting. I don't want to be in this building.
I reckon you still care a little bit though.
I do,
even though you won't act on it. I reckon you still care.
I mean, a little bit, but I think I'm at the point now where I'm like, if you think that, that's your problem. Like, if you think that I'm being work shy or unacceptable for not doing something, having been in the building for 10 hours a day this week, then I'm not the problem. I'm not the problem.
It's true.
The problem is the expectation.
Yeah.
And I say it every week, and I'm people like a broken record probably listen to this, but I want everyone else to think this. You lost hundreds if you striked. If you didn't, then well done for the pay rise for doing nothing. But apart from that, if you striked last year, right, you lost hundreds and hundreds of pounds.
So I'm just gonna go with you. He's really grumpy. All right, he's saying mean things. He's grumpy.
It's fine. It's fine. I don't mind losing hundreds of pounds so they gain hundreds. It's not above me. If you striked last year, you lost hundreds of pounds to just get a bit less of a pay cut. And I say it every week, and workload has not changed. You don't need to accept the fact that the strikes are over. I voted no for that deal.
You did, didn't you?
So I said, okay, cool. This is what I'm doing now. I'm not doing work outside of my 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
Because that is way more than my directed time. I'm already doing more than directed time. If something needs to be done outside of that, I don't have time to do it. It's not an endless pot.
Let's make it clear for non-educational people.
And also I'm part-time. So 30 hours, people are like...
Of course.
Yeah.
But Dylan's not saying that he'll only do those directed hours of where you're like directed hours for most schools are going to be something like 8:30 to 3:30, right? Yeah. He's not saying he's only going to do that. He's already saying he's going to put in like an extra 2-3 hours a day.
Yeah.
For free. And if that's not enough, and I agree with this, if that's not enough, tough. I'm not the problem. If that's not enough. I think I've had that opinion and kind of acted on it for like a couple of years to an extent.
Have you done work outside of school every week?
Weekends, yeah.
That's what I mean. I'm not doing it.
Oh wow, even the weekends.
No,
I thought you were factoring in like a planning.
No, I'm not doing it.
Wow.
I don't. Look. Will I fold after 4 weeks? Maybe because but here's the point. I'm not relishing this.
Yeah.
I'm not reveling in this choice.
Yeah.
I'm stressed. I'm so stressed because I've implemented this thing on myself.
I'm not doing it, right? I've got principles.
Yeah. See you next
I got
week.
Principles. It's
Sunday.
nothing to do with the fact that I just don't have a computer right now. That's a coincidence.
No, that's what started it off. That is what started it off. I physically couldn't do stuff.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, wait, why am I doing it? So I made the choice. I've made the choice this year. Sorry, I'm going on now, but I've made the choice this year. I'm getting in earlier than I've ever got in. I'm getting in at 7:20. 7:10, 7:20.
Some people would be laughing at that, by the way, because they're like, "Oh, I get at 6:30."
Yeah,
it's not a race to the bottom.
Yeah, I know. This is the other thing. Don't compare me to other people. If you want to compare me to other people, I'd say cool. Anyway, back to my literal facts and arguments here, because that's irrelevant. If someone else wants to do more, that's nothing to do. Not really relevant, is it? If someone else works 74 hours a week, not really relevant because that's not the gold bar. I'm talking about pure hours. It's just mad. It is just mad to me how it's this job where it's just like, and it's random. It's completely random. It doesn't matter. Like you could have something to do. Like you could have a parent who wants a meeting. You could have a document you've got to fill in, right? That someone else just doesn't.
Yeah.
They're already stressed working hard. I don't want to give them anything. So I'm not saying give everyone something. I'm saying I've got this extra thing now.
Yeah.
My time is not worthless.
I'm
sorry. My time is not worthless. And there's a lot going on at the minute in terms of both our lives. And like we just moved house and everything. And I'm just getting ready now to be like, look, I've got to go home and do decorating. Otherwise, I don't have a kitchen.
Yeah.
I've got to go home and, look out for everyone else or do this or do that because otherwise that doesn't happen. So actually, I'm not doing it.
Yeah. And he's stressed.
Yeah, I'm stressed. Because it's a stressful burden to take on. And I really respect people who've done it for so far because it's not nice being in a school where you might feel like you're the minority of like, oh, work shy. It's like, no, look at the numbers. No teacher is work shy by definition.
No.
It just can't happen.
No. And that is a stigma that gets put on teachers, I think, sometimes that don't do as much as the ones that do tons of time. I think as well, what you're experiencing at the moment, because you've just moved house, like you have actually got a lot on, as much as I like to joke. But a lot of, we've been very, very lucky. We're very lucky people in terms of, in our whole career, really, we've not had that much like outside stress to deal with.
No.
Maybe a house move 5-6 years ago.
Yeah, but that's like, I'm not being funny. Moving into your first home is very different from moving a house.
Yeah,
to a
true.
house.
You move from one bedroom basically because you live at your mum's or whatever.
Exactly. That's much easier, isn't it?
Yeah, but like, it just really highlights that and makes me a bit more aware, I guess, of other people who are potentially in these kinds of stress for whatever reason. They're as stressed as you are with like stuff outside of work, more regularly or all the time. You don't, and then work's just piled on top. And like some people don't have that at all. And then they have the expectation of like, well, I'm putting in the work. I'm putting 12 hours in a day on average. Why aren't you doing it? It's like, well, maybe their life outside of work is very, very, very different. Yeah. And it's not fair to expect them to live up to that as well.
And maybe it's not. And they just don't want to do that because it's a job.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not being funny. Like, that is the point we've got to. Where we're like, how crap is your life outside of teaching for you to justify not doing this? That's where we're at. That's true. That's where we're at. Wait, what's the awful thing that's going on that you're not doing 12-hour days?
Your life's fine. Come on.
Oh, Sundays. Just got planning. Yeah, there was a cut there because I went off on one. What are we going to do about it? I'm sweating. Yeah. I think that's the longest intro we've ever done.
Yeah. There's like a theme.
Shouldn't we get on to what we're actually talking about?
I think it's time to play the jingle, everybody, don't you?
Hello, we're back after that short break. Why pet?
I just said I can't do the accent.
Why
Ant and Dec are not returning. They're not returning.
Someone messaged on Threads. They posted like, what are you up to? Basically. Why pet? We were like, Ant and Dec.
Oh, man.
Are we?
Yeah.
This Ant and Dec sweats like this on television. No, they get their foundation people in to pat them down.
two men dripping in a studio, which is just a tiny room in my house.
Tiny bedroom with a massive light. Who do we think we are? There's like 10 people going to listen to this.
I tell you who we think we are, mate. There's a lot of people copying us right now, isn't there?
Oh, mate.
A lot of people.
A lot of people. White Rose Education. Oh, got a podcast.
Yeah.
Listen.
We did it first, all right? We did it first.
Mr. P.
Copied us.
New season. Come on, Mr. P.
Yeah, we were first. We've been doing a podcast for like months.
All these people.
Yeah.
I'm doing a podcast now. Listen. Come to us if you want to do a podcast and ask us. It's our turf.
Speaking of Mr. P, love him. If you go back a few episodes, he came on, chatted to us. He was great. Very generous of his time.
We can say that joke because he'll laugh.
He'll laugh.
He's going on tour, by the way. I wish I could go on tour. I literally can't go. I would have gone and watched him.
You want to go on tour?
No, we're going on tour.
Should we do one?
We're going to fill out the
Should we do a tour?
The Minster Town Hall. Like 10 people and their dog.
Let's do a tour.
Should we
get like 12.
Should we just turn up? Like, should we buy a ticket with Mr. P's and just go on the stage? Hello?
Hiya.
It's Mr. P and Mr. S.
Oh, yeah, that was a joke, wasn't it? 3 P's. Oh dear.
No, but it's great. His podcast is
He's
back.
Smashing it.
Yeah, his podcast is back. I listened to the first episode. It's classic. They get so many stories.
I know. I'm
and
very
we're
jealous.
Here like, can we have one, please?
yeah. I might ask him if we can have the dregs.
Yeah, like I was moaning about copy. It was like, can you write us your funny stories? Isn't that already an education podcast? Which has absolutely nailed that.
Yeah. Isn't it a massive
We're
one?
gonna do it anyway. Nah, he's great. He's such a great guy. Yeah. One of those things, like we said, I know we're not talking about Mr. P this whole thing, but classic thing of when you speak to someone who has that kind of following. I just thought, I always think with those people like, they're probably a little bit maybe aloof, bit like, I'm busy doing this. But he was just such a nice guy.
Yeah, he was really cool. I messaged him not remotely expecting a reply. Like, come on, he's got like 400,000 followers.
And all our people who came on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Everyone's been nice.
So good.
But I was least expecting a reply from him purely because of that reason.
Yeah, sure.
But the more followers you got, just generally the more messages you're going to get, the more you've got to sift through, right?
Yeah.
And he was just like, all right, pal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds cool. He was like, yeah, I listened to that bit. I was like, oh, it's just he's a human being. Yeah. Oh, yeah, people are just normal.
People aren't like you. Very cynical all the time.
Yeah, I'm like, no, we've got like 100 followers now. I don't talk to you, or you.
We've got more than 100 followers.
Have we? How many? I don't know.
More than 100.
Nice. Honestly, I don't look anything ever.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you if a person listens to this. I'm just doing it for a laugh. What I can tell you is
this podcast has been streamed in 40 different countries now.
Wow, that means nothing to me. Because I just presume everyone's on a VPN.
No, okay.
Apart from that one person that messaged you.
Pretend it sounds good.
Okay, it sounds good.
We're in 40 different countries. It was me on my VPN. I went on one night.
It was just you.
Anyway, behaviour.
Yeah.
Right, it is linked. It is linked to what I was saying before.
We'll wrap it up there, shall we?
Yeah. I'll be really honest with the customers, the consumers.
Yeah, the viewer, listeners, consumers.
We've been zonked like this week. We do actually plan this podcast. You won't believe it, but we do actually plan it out. And we did not plan one this week. And we sat and we said, what's something that we can just talk about, having had so much experience, and literally just have a conversation about it, because this is more conversational being here. And we thought behavior was such a good one, because we've had a lot of feedback previously when we've mentioned behavior just in passing, maybe at the end of an episode or something. And someone basically saying, oh, we love your approach to it and things like that. Because there's a lot of debate at the minute. And there's just this idea with behavior. And maybe we can talk about our own experiences. But there's definitely this idea that's floating around, very popular, that behavior is getting a lot worse. Parental engagement is getting a lot further away. And maybe the onus is being placed much more now onto the teacher rather than the person or the child, exhibiting those behaviors. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But just in general with behavior, we talked about our mindset of positivity and it being key. But if you could distill your behavior into like a simple few sentences, maybe. I know you struggle with
my
that.
behavior.
No, your behavior. Your attitude towards behavior. What would you say are, like, I hate the word non-negotiable, because there's this whole debate around.
Well, as in like things that as in my expectations on the kids.
Yeah, and you're like, cool, this is exactly what I expect. I give you this, I give you that, but what I expect from you is this.
Honestly, one word, two words, mutual respect.
One word?
I was going to say respect, and I was like, actually, no, I specifically mean respect. I respect you, you respect me.
Does that work when they ask you to turn around and check your hair in your head?
No, that's just bullying me. Thanks for reminding me. I don't know, there's probably more to it, we'll unpick it, but realistically, that's what it always boils down to for me. It's like, we're all different. And I've said to children before, like I've had a boy in my class once who just swore a lot. Just classic, like, people have different backgrounds. I don't care personally. I always go back to like me on a personal level. Like, I don't really care.
Well, like, outside of the job.
Yeah, outside of the job. Like,
as a person,
as a human being, I don't really care if someone says a word that we've decided is offensive, like the F word or whatever. Like, people would use it all the time.
The F word.
The F word.
For you. Let's go all the way through the alphabet, shall we?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I swear a lot outside of my job and this podcast.
I'll tell you what, very quickly though, when we've had meetings before through business and stuff, and maybe it's someone we've had a meeting with a couple of times, but sometimes maybe it's a tutor we're talking to and stuff. And although we know them and stuff, I feel uncomfortable when you swear.
Do you?
Yeah. Just because I just think, like, it's what we're talking about now, basically. I'm just like, it's not that I care, but I'm like, in this setting, they might care and think of us differently because of your language.
I guess I don't know. In the moment, I think I'm comfortable. If I start swearing, it's usually because I'm comfortable. And I'm also usually like subliminally quite certain that they're not. Or I don't care if they judge me. I'm like, well, it's irrelevant.
I think it's more that
choice of language.
Equally, I'm in the same situation. I'm like, are we there yet? Maybe we have different levels.
Sure. I'm just a bit quicker. But I've had a kid before who swears a lot. And some people might be like, that's absolutely unacceptable. Like, oh my God, go crazy. And I just took the kid to the side and I just explained. I was like,
bellowed at him.
I was like, how dare you? Outside, And I just very calmly, because I don't really care.
Yeah.
And I didn't want him to just completely disengage with me as a human immediately, because I don't speak like him. And I'm pretending not to speak like him. I'm not even being truthful. I'm just lying. Like, oh yes, I don't speak like this. Absolutely, of course I do.
I don't effing speak like this.
Yeah. And I just said to him, look, this is how it works at the school. I was like, I love swearing. That's how I said it. And I was like, this is risky. If someone else heard me say that, they might be like, ooh.
But it's the same thing, only because of the preconception. Like, objectively, is that wrong to say?
No, surely not. But this kid got it. Like, maybe I wouldn't say it to someone a bit younger.
Yeah.
But I just said, I love swearing, and but this is the situation. I was like, I don't swear here, and here's why you need to not do it as well. This is the stigma that you're going to get. This is the reactions people are going to have to you. It's just not worth it. It's just language. So you've got to understand that. And genuinely, he honestly didn't swear again. And I was like, oh, cool, that was easy. He's been told off for 3 years for shouting swear words. He didn't swear again. Maybe like once or twice on the playground, slipped out. But generally in the classroom, just didn't happen. I was like, cool, there we go. I didn't ruin my relationship with this kid. And it's just, I don't know, I just try and get that mutual respect. He could see I wasn't actually demeaning him as a human and saying how you sound and communicate is wrong. Don't do it. I was just saying, I get it. I'm like you. We can connect, but maybe don't do it in here.
Yeah. And you're going to like success stories, which is great. But like I'm wondering, I'm diving more now into that feeling that all teachers have had. If you're a teacher listening to this, if you're a parent listening to this, tenfold, because from what I hear from parents is it's even harder at home to kind of control this behavior.
That's a thing, isn't it?
So what I'm saying is, we've been a teachers for a long time now.
Yeah.
And we've gone through enough cohorts, enough classes to understand that the way I feel towards behavior management isn't consistent. And what I mean is, so my attitudes are and what I expect are and my expectations, I always think of having clear rules, as few rules as possible, but that are really important and you adhere to and everyone sticks to. But I've had enough reactions from the ways of doing stuff to understand that there's more to it.
Okay, what do you mean?
So I don't think, again, people feel free to disagree, talk to me, tell me if there's a way to do this, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think there is one set way to do something in terms of behavior where you're going to catch everyone in the net.
Yeah, sure.
And I think from year to year, you will have different children, different needs, different kind of, they behave differently. That's not a constant you're in control of. That's not something you can, that's a variable. That's something that is out of your control. So the way you do things might hit 95% of your class one year and it's breezy. And you think, I'm the best teacher in the world at behavior management. And guess what, guys? It's me because I did this. And someone asked you, how did you do it? And like, well, I just built a relationship with them and I just had 3 simple rules and they all did it. I think that we've been through the mill enough to know that that can be really disheartening to hear when you feel like you're doing the same thing but not getting the same outcome. And I don't think it's the same thing. I don't think it's down to you and those outcomes because I can do the same thing the year after and really struggle.
Yeah, I've had exactly that. So I have had both ends of the spectrum. Like right now, the class I have this year are really nice. They are on that level where it's like, yeah, I can just say these 3 things. They all immediately do it and we have a great time. Honestly, that's just the level they're at.
People come to you with a pen, but how'd you do it?
Yeah, I know, as if it's me. It's not remotely me. They're in year 6. They're like, none of my input has got them to this point.
Not after 10 days anyway.
Yeah, not after 10 days and not after me being constantly having taken the mick out of you. But that's also the reason that I can do that. Whereas I've had classes before, like cohorts I've taught in the past, where I absolutely cannot treat them in the same way that I'm already treating these kids. It doesn't work. And you would get nothing done. Everyone would get stressed. I'd be constantly cross. Other kids would be angry at the behavior. Like the culture in that cohort is different. And again, it had nothing to do with my actual input, like in the reason their behavior was like that. And I would go as far as arguing that it didn't have much, there wasn't much impact from the previous teachers as well. Like, I don't think we could go back and pinpoint like, there's the teacher that messed it all up.
Yeah, of course.
Or
not.
They're the 2 teachers that then back to back, they complete, all those children can't behave now because of them 2. It doesn't work like that. I do think you can have a little impact.
You can.
But I don't think it's much,
no. But
honestly.
Think of it this way. If you were just joking constantly, there were no repercussions, there were no clear expectations. Those are the basic building blocks where if you're not doing that, then focus on that. But I think there's a lot of teachers out there who are doing those things. And I felt like this in the last couple of years, numerous times where I'm like, am I actually bad at behavior management? Because I've always thought since my early days, that was one of my strengths. I've always thought that. I just think, I do think naturally as a man, I do think there is that just 10% that you start off a bit higher on because your voice naturally cuts through and stuff like that. I do think we have those natural kind of benefits just from the off without doing any kind of, actual putting things in place. But yeah, I just think, I don't know. I've had those moments where I'm like really experienced and stuff's worked before. And then I've had those interactions with children where I'm like, nothing's working. And I'm just getting annoyed. And I think with less experience, you look at that and you go, it's me. What can I do? Yeah. And as a teacher, you're always going to ask yourself that because it's your job.
Yeah, you blame yourself.
I have this mantra as well. I remember one of the TAs I worked with always reminded me of it. And I was like, oh, that is important when I was like an NQT. And it was, if the children don't understand something, it's my problem. If they don't get something, there's no good being annoyed at them.
I know what you mean.
If they don't get it, then it's my job. Yeah. Literally my job to find a different way to try and help them understand.
Do you say that to the kids?
Yes.
Because I still do
it's just
as well.
meta. It's just meta. It's like, I said to them this week when I was setting expectations, I said, I promise you all, and I looked at them all, and I said, I promise you that if you do not understand something and you have tried to, I will never. I said to them, do you think I will ever get annoyed or tell you off if that's the case? And they were like, no. And I was like, no, of course I won't. I will never, ever do that. But what do you think I'm going to do if you don't understand how to do something, but you weren't paying attention, or you haven't even tried it, or you haven't even put pen to paper, or so you've shown me a choice where you haven't given it a go. And they were like, oh yeah, of course. And I was like, yeah, that's when we're going to have a conversation.
There's a difference.
And we boiled it down to the rules were, you always have to try your best.
Yeah.
You always have to respect other people, and that comes in with listening when they're talking, and that's almost it.
Yeah,
because if you get out your seat, I'm like, you're not respecting me.
Mm.
You're not respecting the person next to you who's been put off now because you got out your seat.
Yeah,
you're shouting out. You're not respecting everyone else's time. Someone's talking and you're not listening. You're not respecting them.
Yeah,
you can almost encompass everything in these really basic rules.
Respect.
And we had a message from Kyle. Kyle, one of the people who listened to the podcast.
Oh yeah,
really nice guy. Just basically saying he was listening to our podcast about simple rules, and he put a picture of his 3 rules up there. You can't go wrong because you just point to it. And I was like, he's gonna have a good year because he's just very clear. And as long as your rules cover everything, such an impact. And I think understanding that, even with this attitude and clear expectations, high expectations, you're gonna get some children who make wrong choices.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm wondering your ideas here, just going into the meta now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, myself included, a lot of the time, who like to look for, there's a reason. It's not an excuse, there's a reason. There's a reason this person's misbehaving. What's your opinion on that attitude of there's always a reason? There's not always just a, because...
Right. There is always a reason, but the reason isn't always an excuse. I think that's the way I see it. Okay,
so can it be? You're saying the reason can be an excuse.
The reason can be the reason can be they wanted to annoy you.
yeah, exactly.
And it's like, cool, it's not an acceptable reason.
Yeah.
But I don't like the excuse culture that happens. I don't know if it's you earlier on you said about how maybe the culture over time, like there's a bit of a stigma or a stereotype that parenting is becoming more like lenient, and it's the teacher's problem, it's teacher's fault.
They back the kid before the teacher.
And it used to be more, the parents would listen to the teacher and then they'd believe the teacher. I don't know if that's true.
No, I don't either.
Because I haven't taught long enough. Yeah. I think it's been exactly the same the entire time I've been teaching.
And again, I feel like the vast majority of parents have been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
I think it's very easy to latch onto the few who
a couple, and like, because at the end of the day, parents are just people.
Yeah.
Who are we kidding if we think every single person is lovely and polite? Of course they're not. Some of those people are going to be parents sometimes. Like, of course I've had a few fallings out, but overall, on the whole, 99% I've had lovely interactions with. But going back to like reasons and excuses, I don't like, and it really grinds my gears, when very, very, very obvious behavior, like bad behavior, that is just for the sake of like arrogance or being obnoxious or just being rude because those children haven't been taught manners. When they get excused for stuff, it angers me to my soul, because as a professional, I always feel that horrible burden of, I better not annoy the parent or the person who's challenging me on this because, I don't want them to complain about me or something like that. And I hate that because it always puts me in an awkward position. But at the end of the day, if someone's coming up to me and saying, "Mom, my child got told off for this today," they weren't doing that. Oh, I hate it. I'm like, sorry, yeah, no, my eyes, the thing I saw are irrelevant because your child has told you what happened, of course. So ignore everything I said that I saw. Let's go with your account, which is based on your child's account. Like, what are you? I find that so rude, so rude, and that's a little bit different. Undermining. Yeah. I want to make it clear though, because that's not the same as like a situation where something's happened and I'm already going off like secondary information from like different kids' accounts. Yeah. And then maybe the parents just chipping in saying, look, actually, there's a bit of a history here. Maybe this has happened and this has happened. That's just helpful. That's just helping the investigation. Yeah. I don't mind that. So yeah, back to your original question. I think everything has a reason. I just don't think they're always acceptable.
So devil's advocate here, because I agree. I think what's happened is, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, people who have been teaching a lot longer than we have. Back in the day, it would be that the teacher said something, that was it, unquestionable. Clearly, some teachers took advantage of that. We're talking about a time when you could throw a rubber at a kid's face. Like, I'm joking, but I'm being serious. I'm being serious as well. Like, you could get the cane, right? Yeah, because the teacher didn't quite like the look of you.
Everyone's nan and granddad's got a story.
Right, and they hate school.
Yeah.
So clearly that's horrendous.
Yeah.
It's shifting. So it's a fact that it's shifting towards more, I want to say restorative, a big thing at the minute.
Yeah, true.
Schools having restorative things. It's not just punishment, wrong, bad, punishment, wrong, bad, punishment. It's wrong, bad, understanding.
Yeah.
That's obviously a good thing again. I'm talking very specifically about, you said it's not the child's, child might not have been taught manners.
Yep.
And they're just being rude. Is that the child's fault? That they've chosen then not to do something if they need to be taught, like we're teaching them the line.
Yeah.
In the same way that you're saying, do we go down that route of, or should we go down that route of, oh, well, they've not been taught it. Okay, look, nurture, help. Yep. No one's ever going to say that's a bad thing, but there is obviously a line when someone has been taught it. I've been that kid you've been that kid at school who did something simply because they wanted to and it was funny to break the rule.
Well,
it wasn't because of something happened at home that morning.
It
was because you went in and you chose chaos.
Yeah. I exclusively from about the age of 10, I'd say, because I was really good before that. From the age of 10 until I left school, the only thing that mattered to me was making my friends laugh at any expense. That's it.
And you still fail.
I didn't do that.
He's had 50 years practice.
But it was though. Like, and I'm not saying I wasn't like the proper horrible kid, but I was definitely rude. I look back and I cringe at some of my memories of like things I said to teachers.
But imagine, right? You chose in that day. You just wanted to make your mates laugh.
Yeah.
Right. There's the memes right now of the naughty kid who managed to leave lesson and get chips. And it's like, because that whole restorative thing of, you come out of lesson, you've been completely rude and horrible. You've like, and I'm like, jokes aside now, there's huge rising rates of children abusing teachers, especially in secondary school. And they do that and they get taken out, arm around them, have some crisps, go for a walk. And it's like, let's not pretend there's not a line. Because there's some people out there who will jump down your throat if you say, we shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
They're like, no. Everyone, there's a reason for every single behavior. We treat them beautifully, nice, restorative, all good. There's a place for restorative. But if someone's choosing to be a little bugger, sometimes they need to be told and punished.
Yeah, and don't do that.
Don't do that. No, that's unacceptable. You do it again, cool, you're going to lose this.
Yeah.
You're going to lose that.
Yeah, well,
you're not going to get crisps and an ice cream.
That's more reflective of real society, in my opinion. I think, good countries around the world that have like really good restorative, prisons and things.
Netherlands, I think, have really good ones.
Yeah,
and then, the Nordic
that
countries.
kind of area in general is always quite quoted, isn't it? Like, I think the success probably comes from the fact that you're still punished. There's a law, and you are punished for it. Like, you're going to prison. Yeah. But you are also given the opportunity to like restore yourself, rather than just being labelled as, oh, you're just nothing now. You're worthless. Well done. You've messed up your whole life. You're nothing.
That's what happens in this country. Like, that is the prison system in this country. There are the rate of reoffenders is huge. Restorative help is so good. Yeah. It's so good. Yeah. But we can't just pretend that there are not some children out there who don't just misbehave because they want to. Yeah. I think it's mad.
As a cultural impact, I'm thinking about school now. I think, even though you said it was a meme, like the impact it would have on a child who's really trying to behave in a class, seeing one of their peers who's just done something vile in the classroom, then having some sort of treat within even like a week. Yeah. Honestly, I'd be, if I was that kid, as someone who's quite switched on to that sort of thing, I would have been like, well, that's completely unjustified. Exactly. Like, that kid just threw a chair at a teacher, and now they're going like a special ice cream treat with this like behavioural unit. What on earth? I'd be like, why are they getting that? And I wouldn't understand it as a kid, and sometimes kids don't understand it, and there is a wider thing there, and it's like, yeah, you don't understand it, but this is still the best decision. Sure. I do think there are situations like that.
And I'm not saying restorative is bad.
No, neither am I.
But there just has to be common sense. If you're doing solely restorative and someone doing that is on the same level as someone who maybe is going through something at home, who maybe has some kind of diagnosis, some kind of need, we can't group these things together, and we can't pretend they're the same, and we can't just say it's only ever because of a reason that's justified. It's not. They need to sometimes learn. Yeah. And there's this, my favorite thing, amazing teacher we work with who is fantastic with children with certain needs. Yeah. Always says that the world isn't going to change, that the wider world isn't going to change. And what she means by that is simply these children, no matter what, no matter if they have a diagnosis of ADHD, maybe ASD, we give them all the help and support they need, but they need to learn that in the real world, there are rules and there are consequences. And
they still apply.
Yeah. There are things we can put in place to support, but, there are things we have to expect from everyone. Yeah. And I think sometimes the idea of that restorative justice in schools is we have these really high expectations. Everyone's going to be brilliant. Oh my gosh, we have this mantra. Everyone's, attitude towards it on the teacher, the staff's all on the same level. And if you break it,
yeah, okay, I agree. I want to make 2 points, because the one point I wanted to make the whole way through, and I was eventually getting to it, because I don't want anyone to think that I don't like restorative.
Yes,
I'm actually more pro it.
Yeah,
than anything. Same. But the thing I hate, and I just don't know schools that do this right, I don't like overarching behavior policies, like as in like really simple ones, as in like where the whole thing is we do restorative here and that's it. Or we have this particular thing and this is the only system we use for everyone. Because it goes back to that thing you said right at the start of, yeah, but you're never going to catch 100% of children with that. Do you know what? That policy might apply. You might have got the best one and it applies to 96% of your kids. But there's still 4% of kids where that policy is rubbish for them and it's never going to help them.
Can I come in? Because case in point of nearly every single primary school in the country. Nearly every single primary school in the country. Think of the system you have in school for behaviour.
Yeah.
What percentage of children actually go through that formality of that system? And what I mean is whatever it is, whether it's warning, going to this room, having this punishment, whatever it is.
Detention,
whatever you
sent
do.
out.
Yeah, whatever the system is. What percentage of your kids actually make their way through that step by step of the behaviour system? Less than 10%. The vast majority of children, just the fact that it exists and they know that they have to behave a certain way is enough.
Yeah.
So if we're talking a small percentage of children actually making their way through this process, if there are repeat offenders constantly doing the same thing, then we can go into those root causes, can't we? That's when we can step in and help those 4% who clearly this isn't working for. But for the majority, just having something in place is going to catch them. Then, then dive in. Then look for the reasons, okay? And if it is just that the kid's being annoying because they want to be funny, we can sort it in some way. If it's because they have a diagnosis, we can sort it in that way. If it's because of this or that, we then need the specific reasons, but resources.
And just individual case by case.
There's no resources in school.
True.
That's why it's so hard. That's why you need an overarching thing, because it's just a simple policy.
Yeah, there's any way to manage
Stay with it. I'm sorry, I can't go into this case because I've got 17 kids who I need to do out of 1,000 who come to the school. It's just unmanageable. So that's why we slip into that thing.
I've just realised I'm going into my gawping thinking phase.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have.
So thanks for taking the mick out of me, everyone. I'm aware of it now. I am listening. I'm just going into when I go into deep thought, my face just goes. I'm just thinking about what you're saying. I'm like, I am listening.
What I'm saying is so boring.
So boring.
So if you had to, summarize your kind of top tips for behavior then, because I always think about teachers listening to this, because I know for a fact we have a whole bunch of teachers who like less than 3 years experience who are watching this, and we've got, between us nearly 20 years now.
Yeah.
We've talked about how, don't beat yourself up too much. If you're doing the basics and you're doing them consistently and there are still some problems, it is out of your hands sometimes, whatever reason it could be. Whether it's the child's fault, whether it's their condition's fault, whatever it is, don't beat yourself up, because I've done that plenty of times and I know I'm following policies and doing things. So what would be your top tips then to those people? You say like, okay, you're struggling with behavior, or you think you're worried about it, you're training and you're thinking, how am I going to control 30 kids? How am I going to stay on top of it? What would you say to them as your top tips as someone who's more experienced?
Okay, so whatever your blanket rules are, because we've already said there are going to be some things where it's just like, this is just a non-negotiable. You just don't shout out when I'm talking. I don't care. I don't care what your reason is. Okay, maybe you've got ADHD. Okay, you still don't shout out when I'm talking, because it's a choice. It might be a bit harder for you, and we can put some restorative processes in to help you as an individual get around that thing. But that's the thing.
And you might not be punished. Like, you might not be literally punished harshly because you do it all the time. That, like you said, restorative can come into play. I want to just justify that, because I don't want anyone to think that we're thinking of advocating punishing people who literally have
a disadvantage
and a disorder.
Of course not. But what the message they shouldn't get is, it's okay. Because you've got this thing, then therefore you don't have to follow this simple rule. It's just, you got to follow this simple rule. It might be a bit harder for you. Here are some things to help you follow that rule. Exactly. That's how it should be. Yeah. So, but whatever those rules are, be consistent. And it's so much harder to do than it is to say. So true. Genuinely.
So
it is
true.
So hard.
I struggle now
to be consistent. Still. Parents do, of one child.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, if any parents are listening, how hard is it to be consistent with your kid in terms of like the boundaries and expectations?
Easier to give in, right?
Do you cave? Of course you do. Right now, imagine having 32 of them, 8 hours a day. Not that many, but 6 hours a day, whatever.
By the way, trying to make them do work that sometimes they just don't want to do.
Yeah, it's hard. So don't make your rules too ridiculous. Make them really fair for every child in your class that they could achieve. Yeah, it might be harder for some of them, but they can still achieve that rule, maybe with some support. And be very, very, very consistent. Like, just stick to it. Don't start making excuses left, right, and center. But equally, I'm going to completely contradict myself here.
Here we go.
Because every child is individual. And the reason I don't like blanket policies is because in those situations, maybe due to the reasons, some children might just need a little bit more TLC or a different approach that they understand. Whereas other children, it's like, cool, you are just choosing to do this to make your mate laugh. So I'm going to tell you off. That's it. And then you're done. That's it. You'll respond to that and you won't do it again.
I don't think there's a contradiction there. I'm going to come in and just clarify.
It just sounded like it.
It does a bit, but I think your expectations and constant from the front delivering on the front line can constantly be that way. I think you're talking then about how you react to that.
Yeah, that's it.
So
that's
like
it.
From the point of view of the children, they have to know it's unacceptable because otherwise they'll do it. Like you said earlier.
Yeah.
They have to know it's unacceptable. But then how are you going to try and solve that? I think it's less easy for us to give tips at that point because they're so unique. Because I've had certain children where it's just clicked. I've tried something. Oh, okay, that's a sticker chart did actually work for you because for whatever reason, that's enough of a hook for you to become fixated on that and want to do that. And then that's good.
Yeah.
For another child, it would just be me being brutally honest with them. Like you said, the child who's swearing. I might say to someone, I've said to this before and I thought, am I going too far? And I've just thought, no, because it's true. And I've said this, to parents at parents' evening. I've said, children will stop liking you. And I say to them, I don't want that to happen. You don't want that to happen. No one wants that to happen. But you've got to understand the way you're behaving and treating other people, they will stop wanting to spend time with you. And at break time, it's a choice. It's a very small time.
There's a very subtle difference between that and something that people would be like, oh, that's terrible. And this is something to make this really clear. If you said to a kid, no one likes you,
oh gosh,
that's awful.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Please be careful with your wording. Yeah. But if you're explaining to them that their actions, the consequences of their actions, which might result in like social
and it's always embedded in praise.
Yeah.
It's like you've got a lot of friends.
Yeah, and you're lovely.
Yeah, you're so like right now having such a nice chat. But these choices you're making, they're going to have a consequence. And they are choices, aren't they? And you talk to them, you say, you chose to do this. You could have chosen this, and you give them things they could have done. It's always so carefully structured because if we simply go up to a child and essentially tell them they're bad and then walk away,
that's just negative.
It's negative. It's horrible. I'm an adult. They're a child.
Yeah, and they don't like you now.
Right. So I think the thing I want to come back full circle to is we spoke about how I expect them to behave in lessons and to learn things and stuff like that. In the same way we teach children how to interpret primary and secondary sources in history, I think it's our job to teach children how to behave. Yeah. And would we ever say that every child learns in the same way when it comes to maths?
Yeah, no, of course
Of course we wouldn't. No. So why are we pretending that every child learns in the same way that you just behave? And half the time we're not even teaching them. We just say, do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine going to a maths lesson and saying, add 4.
Yeah.
They've never done it before. Yeah, add 400. Go on. You can't do it. Detention.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those kids can. Praise.
Exactly.
Yeah, you wouldn't do it.
I just think that there's got to be a mixture of stuff. I think the extremes in both ends are ridiculous. So the 1970s throwing a rule at someone's face. Yeah. Don't do that.
Physical punishment.
Horrible. Stupid.
Conditioning.
Silly.
Yeah.
Are some things moving too far the other way now? I think so. Yeah. I think we've just got to fight to keep common sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it, isn't it? Everything's common sense. Stop blanket thinking about anything. Just just individually think about they're human beings. Yeah. They have an entire life like you, and all your whole everything complex about you. They have that as well.
I think that would be my number one tip to an ECT. If someone had to say to me, "You've got an ECT," and you can say one thing to them, one bit of advice, I think that encompasses enough to say to them, treat them. This sounds so condescending because I'm not saying that everyone doesn't do it, but I just remember being at school and thinking, I can't believe you're not treating me like I'm a human.
Yeah.
Treat them like individual human beings.
Yeah.
And that encompasses so much. That encompasses differentiation. That encompasses their needs. Yeah. That encompasses understanding them. That encompasses building a relationship with them. Everything comes down to treat every single person in your room like an individual human being. So for me, that is very powerful. And I think when I was learning to teach, someone asked me, because my PGCE year finished and we had a meeting with my link tutor. And she was such a nice question because it was a question embedded in like a bit of praise. Because she wasn't someone she was so lovely. I was so influenced by this woman, Gina Donaldson. I don't know, you're not going to be listening, but you're amazing.
She will. Oh,
she's amazing. Like math specialist, so good, like me, math specialist.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, she was just having like a debrief at the end when we qualified. And she's so lovely. And I always remember the question she asked me. And the question was, what do you think made you had such a successful year? Right. And that was just nice. I was like, just taking it.
Yeah, success embedded in the question.
Thank you. But she's asking me why as well. She's like, that's not only did you have a good year, I want to hear from you why.
You realised she was talking to the person. Oh, sorry. We'll come to you in a minute.
I was just walking past my pasty. Huh? Oh, no, what food. But no, she asked that question. And I just remember saying, I think it's because I said 2 things. I copied really good teachers.
Yeah.
Which is literally all I did. Fran Pettit, Nicole Mannings. Not Mannings anymore, but they were my 2 people. I just copied them. I was like, you're amazing. I'm going to copy you. I did as best I could. And the other thing was, I got on with the children. Yeah. I made an effort to understand them and know them.
Rather than it's a number of 32.
Yeah.
They're just like data.
I've got 32 individual children in there. Yeah. And I love the idea of being able to, any one of them, I'd be by the end of the year, I want to be able to have a 5-minute conversation with any of them. Yeah. And it not be forced. And it'd be like, I know exactly what your interests are. You can talk to me. I can talk to you. Just chill out, have a chat. And that's what happens now when I walk through the corridor. Yeah. And one of the kids stops me. I'm like, cool, I've done my job.
Yeah.
I've done my job.
They want to talk to me.
Yeah.
A kid came back to school today that I taught 3 years ago.
Ah. And is that what happened at the end of the school day?
Yeah, did you see it? Tall girl next to me. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, no, because I didn't tell you. Yeah. So the podcast exclusive here. Exclusive. Don't know why you're waiting for this news. You hadn't come out yet and I was already out. And this girl, that girl came up to me and said, excuse me, Mr. Price. And I kind of recognised her, but I don't think I taught her. Yeah. Kind of recognised her. And I was like, okay, yeah. She went, does Mr. Stevens still work here?
Oh.
And I went,
that warms my heart.
And I said, yeah, he does actually. Yeah, he'll be out in a minute. And she literally turned around to her mama and now went, yes!
Yeah.
Come on!
She said that she'd come back a few times and I hadn't it was just like days obviously we're not there. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, obviously Thursday, Friday. Yeah, she celebrated my team had scored a goal. Yeah. She was like, yes! Yeah. And then her mum was like, oh, okay, wait. And they were just waiting for you to come out.
I had a really nice relationship with her and her family. So it was really nice. Like it was it was the COVID year. So it was like an online year. So just a different bond, wasn't it? Like I spoke to the parents a lot more because it was online. Like we were just chatting differently. Really nice. Had a little chat with her and she was just buzzing. And I love that she was buzzing to see me because it means I did my job properly. She enjoyed our time. Yeah. Because we get a short time really together. Yeah. I tell you, one of the most powerful, I'll just finish with my last anecdote. One of the most powerful things I've done with Behaviour, once I've developed some sort of mutual respect relationship with the kids, right, and we've got a bit of trust going on, is do a comparison where I directly talk about myself, but with them. So I'll like, the most powerful thing I've ever said to someone where I've seen their face drop and they understand what I'm saying now, or rather than me just telling them off, is they've come to me upset. They're having a tiff with a friend or whatever. And they've done something. So in my head, I'm thinking, right, you're the problem, but kids don't like to hear that. They don't like to hear, well, actually, it's your fault. You started this. You're the one that took this too far and you did a thing and it annoyed them. And now they're annoyed at you, basically. And they come to you saying, they're annoyed at me. They're not being my friend. Yeah. And I've said, you know what? Based on what I've heard, based on what you told me, if I was
you're the problem.
Yeah. You effing, no, stop effing them like
yeah. I love swearing and you're the problem.
No. I've just said, and it's that, you said about being brutally honest.
Well, yeah, this is brutal in the way of just like, you don't want to hear it.
But in a good way, as in like in a restorative way, in a constructive way. I've said to a few children in the past, when it's the right situation, they've explained something and I've gone, if I was your friend, my feelings would be hurt right now. I wouldn't want to talk to you right now.
Yes.
And they've got it because I'm someone they trust right now, and they actually want me to be their friend almost in a way. And I've said to them as an adult who they are looking for advice, I've said, I think if I was your friend, I wouldn't want to talk to you right now because that was really mean. And then like, whoa, okay, and adults would do the same thing. And I've seen kids' faces sort of be like, realize,
penny drops.
Maybe. And it's that moment in your life where you realize you're not always right.
Yeah.
Maybe I was actually the main problem and it was my fault. And that's really important in life.
Is that what you think every time one of the podcast episodes is bad?
No, because fortunately,
maybe
nothing's my fault. I never went through that phase. So I just get to tell other people. You needed
an adult to do it to you.
Yeah, I do it to other people. I'm like, God, they're lucky they got me, aren't they?
Hayden, if that was me, I would have hated this podcast episode as
well. Yeah. So
no, that's good. Jokes aside, I mean, when we're serious for more than 3 minutes, I want to say jokes. That's what I say. Yeah. But that is absolutely true, and I think
you got to be careful, wouldn't you?
You got to be really careful. But like you're right.
How you word things.
I think sometimes though, what is still acceptable, some parents might find wrong.
Yeah.
And whether it's acceptable or not, you'd never want to cross that line because you want to work with the parent. So you've got to just pick and choose your things, and just make sure everything's rooted in truth, reason, and help. Like if you're doing something to be spiteful, what are you doing as a teacher?
Yeah, you're gonna get caught out.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah, more for you. Yeah. Genuinely, everything I try to do. I try to be constructive. And sometimes, the truth hurts a little bit.
Well, I'm dripping. We're over an hour, so shall we call it?
Well over an hour.
I think we only had one jingle in that whole thing.
Yeah.
guys.
And one edit as well where you made a mistake.
Yeah.
You spat on my face, actually.
I did, actually. I'm sorry about that. But I'm thinking next week, potentially, because the man's coming tomorrow to sort my internet out.
Oh.
I want to know, although this is kind of answering the question for me, I'm going to go back to my room.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed face-to-face. I really want to know what people think because we had some feedback and it was good. I want more. So genuinely, face-to-face, how did you find the episode? And if it was worse, tell us.
Just be honest.
Tell us.
Because long term, if you really like it, we would quite like to actually set up a bit of a studio with the equipment we've got. We just need a different location. Yeah. Someone I know actually has just bought a new house.
Is there room?
Might have some room. I don't know. Do you know him?
No.
Don't know.
God, I bet he's stressed though.
Yeah, he told me.
Moving on the last day of summer days.
Grumpy. Horrible guy.
Moaning.
Shouting at the kids, effing them blinding, telling them all you've got no friends.
Never.
He's horrible.
Tell you what, very quickly, no matter how stressed you get as a teacher, those kids come through the door, bang.
Yeah.
Straight back onto it. Horrible.
Shouting straight at them. We both went there.
Straight back onto it. I forget about it.
Yeah.
I really do. They're so funny. I love them.
Yeah.
So good.
I look at them. I see they look to me like just marking. I see just like their face just blurs into a book, and I'm just seething, thinking I've got to mark that later.
Every single one of you is another green tick I've got to put.
3 lessons today.
Look at us moaning again. Anyway, I really enjoyed that. I did enjoy that, and I hope people found it useful. Not only just to think, oh, I'm doing a good job.
Yeah.
I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
And also that we're doing a good job.
Yeah, please tell us. Tell us how much of a good job we're doing. Don't you know the people, they want to talk to me when I go in the canteen?
Yeah. I think it's time we go for a shower.
I'm already having a shower. Look
Together.
at this. A shower. I feel like, and this is true because I've just looked at them, I've got wrinkly fingers like I've been in the swimming
disgusting.
for too long.
Show me. Well,
like a prune.
Your mum's going to start thinking you've got hand problems as well.
Don't tell him if it's a condition. But his hands look like prunes. And he's not been in the bath.
Anyway, guys, listen. Go and check out our other episodes. There's loads of good stuff in the past. We've had some really good guests on as well. And they're some of my favourite episodes.
All of them are so good.
Check them out. We're going to get some more guests on soon. We just had a little bit of a break because we had so many in such a short time. We kind of as we always do, we get a bit obsessed. We exhausted everyone we spoke to.
And it was summer.
Quite quickly.
People chilling out.
Summer. You've moved house.
So again, I've got a few lined up.
Have you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Let's go.
That's a lie. See you later, guys.
It's not a lie. It's not.
All right. See you later.
It's a lie. It's not really.